The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
My name is Jasmine, and I am a recovering drug addict.
My name is Richie Farrell, aka the Old White Junkie.
And we are your hosts for Exit Team Nashua.
Our mission is to bring recovery into the living room.
Last year, over 72,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose.
That's almost 200 Americans every single day.
We will bring you guests with real-life experiences with addiction and recovery. Welcome to Exit Team Nashua. Hi, welcome to Exit Team Nashua. My name is Jasmine, and I am your host. As always, thank you for tuning in and joining us tonight. I am very excited about tonight's show. We have guest here. What's your name?
Brandon Fredericks.
Brandon Fredericks. I've actually known Brandon for a little bit. I was just messing around with you guys there. And so for those of you that don't know, Exit Team is a show who has people on the show who have struggled with addiction, trauma, have resources to offer anyone who has known any kind of suffering. And we bring them on the show and we interview them to hear about their experience, strength, and hope, or whatever resources that they might have to offer someone who is out there suffering in any kind of way. So Brandon, what brings you on the show tonight?
Well, I am an addict, an alcoholic in recovery, and I can tell a little bit about my story.
Yeah. Let's do that.
All right. Born in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I come from a blended family. My mom was white, my dad was black. And, my mom and dad struggled with drug addiction for quite a long time. My mom was a crack addict. My dad sold drugs. So I was also born in Florida, and my mom raised me for the first 5 years in like one of those halfway houses for women that have families in recovery when my dad went to prison. I moved on up towards New Hampshire at a young age because my mom ended up getting out of the halfway house and coming up here. And that's when I first discovered and started feeling that feeling of abandonment at a very young age.
Approximately how old were you?
About 7 years old when I first moved up.
And were you feeling abandoned from your mom, from your dad, or just a disconnect from people in general?
Just from the people that I care about the most.
Okay.
I started feeling that.
So around 7 years old, feelings of abandonment, unworthiness?
Yes.
Okay.
And started diving into things like sports. I have a younger brother as well, and I was always, trying to find something to make other people recognize me, I should say.
So some type of validation.
Validation.
You needed to be validated.
Yep.
You found that in sports?
Sports.
Okay.
Found that in sports, make people laugh, anything really that would make me feel good.
Okay.
So that went on for a little while. I found an outlet.
How old are you? How old are you in this time frame?
I would say about 11. 12,
11.
yeah.
Okay. So at 11, so at 7 years old, you start feeling not okay.
Not okay.
You're not okay in your environment.
Yeah.
By the time you're 11 years old, you start for what I'm going to call some type of coping mechanism to deal with that feeling. And so you found an outlet through validation, look at me. And that is making you feel better in the moment to treat that abandonment.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was really good at them, but that really wasn't enough. And then I really started growing hate towards my father.
Okay.
I remember around that time.
Was your dad still in prison?
Yep.
Okay.
And he ended up getting out, and I didn't know.
Okay.
So I remember getting a phone call for the first time since I was about, since I moved. Him calling and telling me, happy birthday.
How old were you?
I was 12 years old.
You were 12 years old.
Yep.
And did you have hatred for your dad before that phone call, or did this phone call start?
This is where it really started to solidify.
So a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
How dare you? I'm already feeling abandoned. You've been out of prison. You dare to call me? Okay.
Exactly. And that's when I didn't fully hate him just yet. I was waiting kind of for something like this to happen. And, he called me, wished me a happy birthday. And we talked for a while. I told him about all these sports so he could be proud of me. And I told him all the touchdowns that I was getting, trying to just get that good job. And, he was like, what do you want for your birthday? And he promised me that he would send me, because he was in Africa at this time,
Okay.
because he got deported.
Okay.
And he was like, I'm going to send you a computer because, I loved computers at the time.
Okay.
And I just remember, hanging up the phone, and I felt so good, so happy. Like, that's my dad. I didn't really care where he was at that time. I was just so happy to see him. I mean, talk to him, and he promised this computer to me. And I waited at the mailbox every day for the next 3 months, I should say. And then until I realized it was never coming. And I never talked to him again after that. And that's when I just hated him.
You've never talked to your dad?
Nope.
Since then?
No.
Okay. All right.
I've never talked to him since then. And that's when I really started to feel that not wanted, not loved, and just pure hatred for him. And that's when I discovered, marijuana.
What did your relationship look like with your mom? And you said you had a younger brother?
Yep.
What did your relationships look like with those existing family members at this time?
My mom did the best that she could. She was there always.
Yeah.
We didn't have much, but she always made sure that, I had what I needed. She was loving. She guided me as best she could. But, I was always missing a piece. And my little brother, I had a good relationship with him at the time. I teased him all the time, but me and him had a pretty good relationship around that time. It's not until I started,
I was asking because I didn't know if you felt the same sense of abandonment and unworthiness in those relationships as well.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But when I'd say I started going off the deep end is when no one really wanted to be around me. So discovered marijuana, and I was like, oh, this is great. I feel good when I do this. And
so it treated that feeling inside where you're like, I just don't feel okay about myself. And when you smoked marijuana, it went away. It was the solution to how you were feeling.
Yeah, it made me funny, it made me feel good, it made me feel
And you like being funny because you want to be validated.
Exactly.
Okay.
I want attention.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want attention. But I always had this need. I needed more. More and more and more.
More is better.
Yep. And so smoking weed from about 13 to 15. And then I started really getting in trouble in school.
I was gonna say, so because you were athletically gifted as well. So from 13 to 15, were you still playing sports?
I was playing sports all the way up until I was about 15.
Okay.
And when I was about 15, I thought, hanging out with the older people, getting into trouble, getting into fights, getting validation for someone saying he's a tough kid, or that, from the wrong crowds, I should say. And sports just didn't do it anymore. I wanted to go in a different path. And I really got into a lot of trouble. And that's when I first got into my trouble with the law. And
you were 15?
Yep.
Okay.
15. We had these things called the court diversion program. And I just didn't care. I was like, whatever. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. What do you I didn't fear anything.
Yeah.
And then the next step of that abandonment and not wanting stepped in when my mom shipped me away to Tennessee to live with my older brother on my dad's side.
Okay, and why did you go live in Tennessee? What
Because
happened?
she felt like there was
you got in
nothing she
trouble.
could do.
Okay.
Yep.
So you got in trouble, you were in diversion. Diversion let you go.
Yeah.
Okay. So we went to Tennessee.
Yeah. My older brother reached out to my mother, and this is an older brother that I never really met. This is my dad's. This is my dad's.
You go live with a stranger, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the only thing we have connection between me and my older brother is
This man you hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. This man you despise.
Absolutely. And I remember just being in the airport and my mom was trying to give me a hug and she was crying and I didn't say anything to her. I just turned my back and walked to the terminal and went to Tennessee.
And she was just desperately trying to do whatever she could to stop you from going down a dangerous path.
Exactly. And I didn't understand that at the time.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You're my mother and you don't want me.
Yeah, and I already have feelings of abandonment and not good enough.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and now you're abandoning me as well. Yep.
And I went and lived with a family that I've never met.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable, huh?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. It was good though. It was good in the beginning.
Okay.
I started to see a side that I didn't know. I learned
of yourself or them?
Them and about my father.
Okay.
Because I had the worst like view of my
Yeah.
father. They had a different view.
Okay.
My older brother like he knew my dad when he was a teenager and into being an adult and stuff, and he told me stories about my father. So I started to look at him a little differently, but that hate was still there. I started to do well. I went to a high school I never didn't know a single soul at. That was scary. There's the fear. And here comes to me wanting to fit in again.
Yeah.
So I instantly get into trouble. I start hanging out with the kids that are, fighting gangs and whatnot. And I was like, this is what they like. So like, I have to do this to get this feeling that I want. And it didn't work out. So my brother shipped me on back.
How long did you stay in Tennessee for?
A year.
A year? Okay.
Yeah.
And did your perspective on your father change at all?
A little bit.
A little bit? Okay.
A little bit. A little bit enough to get two different sides, but that's where I was most confused about.
Okay.
My mom and my view on my father is this. My brothers and my sisters and my cousins and everything over there has a view on him like this. So I was caught in the middle. Like, who's right, who's wrong?
Yeah. So we can add confused to the
Yeah.
mix. Okay, all right,
Absolutely.
cool. All right.
Absolutely.
We've
Just
got
confused.
a good mix going on here. Okay.
Confused.
So we go back to New Hampshire.
We go back to New Hampshire.
God. Okay.
And there I am, just full of piss and hate
Yeah.
all the time.
Yep.
And
are you still really angry at mom?
angry at mom, happy to see mom,
Yeah.
still angry at mom.
Yeah.
Felt like I've just been passed around.
How old are you?
16.
16. Okay.
16.
So you're still young.
Yeah.
Okay.
16 at this time. And that's when I just started not going to school, skipping school, getting into harder drugs. And at this point, I'm just in a deep end. 16, 17. And that's when I started doing pills because I wanted to feel. I found this solution.
Yeah. We, as addicts and alcoholics, hate feelings. They suck.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's like, it just progressed from there. I pushed a lot of people away. And
How'd you push them away?
by just not being there, not being
By
there.
not showing up for them?
Yeah, not
Okay.
showing up for them, not going to family events, choosing to do drugs, like everything under the sun.
Okay.
Right? I just pushed them away.
Okay.
If they didn't like it, I wasn't a part of it.
Okay. And you're doing pills?
Yeah, doing
Okay.
pills, and that
And
just
for our viewers, can you tell them what kind of pills you're doing?
I was doing oxys and Percocets.
Oxys and Percocets,
Yeah,
okay.
oxys and Percocets at this time. But like, weed was all great and all, but then when I finally discovered this oxy and Percocet, like, everything just numbed. Everything was numbed
good.
out the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it numbs good to me.
Yeah.
I don't
Those
want to
little
feel.
voices in my head that tell me I'm not good enough, they're gone. They're silenced. I feel okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And the friend group that I grew up with in middle school that I played basketball with, they didn't do any of that. So now I'm in high school and they're still playing sports.
Yeah.
And those are my friends.
Yeah.
They're not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Right? They're, they partied in high school, but they weren't doing oxys and trying to rob people.
Right. Yeah. And they still had family that they hadn't
Yeah.
pushed away. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
So if I was you, I'd be feeling pretty out of place wherever I went as well.
That's where I was.
Okay.
Yeah. I was at a place, so where can I be
Yeah.
to fit in? With
Yeah.
people that didn't go to school, people that were doing the same thing that I was doing. And that's when I started realizing that like my closest friends at the time were strangers to me.
Okay. That's a lonely
Absolutely.
place to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that went on for a little while, just doing
And how old are you?
about 17, 18.
You know what's a common theme with people that I interview on the show? And it's crazy because life is all about perspective, right? And I mean, honestly, still, if you ask me to tell my story, I tell of so many dark things, right? There's so much darkness.
Absolutely.
All the way up to this point, you're 16 years old,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not right now, but like in your story, you're 16 years old, and in your perception, there's so much darkness, abandonment, and not to say that those things aren't true, but it's crazy the things that we hold on to as addicts and alcoholics. Like we don't allow ourselves to have the light, the love, the joy,
Oh, yeah. And that like love and light and joy, like I just didn't know anything about it at that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Or I
I
pretended
get
to be.
that. I get that.
Or I pretended to be in front of the right people. Like if
Yeah.
I saw my mom, I'd say everything was okay.
Mm-hmm.
She knew nothing. She knew it was absolutely chaotic. So back 17, 18, and this is when I discovered heroin.
Mm-hmm.
because Percocets or whatever, those were more expensive. Heroin was cheaper.
Yes.
And like that was a tornado. That's when I really just started to discover that like this drug comes before everything. Even when I didn't know it at the time. Like I chose heroin over everything. And that's what it was. You know, over my own health.
So this is a question that often baffles people who don't suffer from substance use disorder. Did you want to choose heroin over your own health?
No.
Did you want to choose heroin over your family?
No.
Did you want to choose heroin over your well-being?
Absolutely not.
Right?
Nope.
And to many people, they're like, well, then why did you do it?
I have like a really good answer for that.
Yes, let's hear it. I'm so excited.
The reason why I did it is because anything that I was feeling at that time, when I put this drug into my system, it made everything disappear for that time being. And when it went away, they came back.
Yes, and they came back worse.
And they came back worse.
They came back stronger.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hated myself. I felt terrible about myself, but I couldn't show anybody that. So I used this drug to numb everything.
I have the honor and privilege of working with many young men and women who suffer from substance use disorder. And it's just like breaking down what I call the disease model for them and you know, reviewing what I would refer to as the phenomenon of craving or the compulsion to want to use and how it is stronger than my desire, right? There are so many times that I did not want to use, right? I loved my mom. I loved my dad. I loved my dog. I did not want to hurt them, right? But this compulsion that takes place in my brain is stronger than that, right? While you're under it, you need time removed from it to heal. So I understand why you did it. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? As a vicious heroin addict, I absolutely understand. But there are many people watching this show that have never experienced what it's like to be in the grips of a crippling, fatal condition that like literally controls what you want to do and your strongest human desire. You don't want to show up and be that way, but you're still doing it against your own will, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there it is, heroin, and it's just controlling my life at this point. Had a girlfriend at the time. Didn't really after a while. She left. Yeah.
They either leave or we really mess it up.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
Gone. She didn't want anything to do with me.
And if they don't leave, they're worse than me.
Yep. And that's when just all the darkness.
Yeah.
It was just nothing but darkness.
So you've officially proven to yourself by this point in life that you are unworthy and that you are going to continue to be abandoned, you know, and you have created that cycle over and over and over with your self-harming behaviors. Okay.
And like, it was one of those, I remember I had one of those moments where, so I got hospitalized from heroin use, you know,
So
using needles. I'm using
right.
needles at this point.
Okay.
And I got hospitalized for a heart infection. And when I was in the hospital, the doctor was telling me, I was 21.
21. Okay.
21.
With endocarditis?
Yep.
Wow.
21 with endocarditis.
Okay.
And the doctor's literally looking at me, telling me that, like, if you continue using, you will die. You have to stay in this hospital. And I told the doctor, and I said, if I leave, how long do I have until I have to come back before I die? Because I wanted to use so bad at this point that death didn't even scare me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty insane.
Yep.
I get it.
Yep. And I ended up leaving with after
How old are you now?
25.
25. Okay. So you're still pretty young.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember leaving, and the heart infection rapidly came back. And then I ended up having to go back to the hospital. But at this point, everybody in my life that I loved or had love for, or my friends, were just gone. I remember being in that hospital alone, and the only one that showed up was my mother at this time, and I just felt terrible. And I stayed in that hospital for about 14 weeks. 14 weeks, but it still wasn't enough. I got my heart infection cleared up, and I went and stayed sober for a little bit. Just no treatment or anything like that, but the disease of addiction just hijacked my brain again, and was like, I can do this better this time. I won't go as bad. I won't go back to how I
Yeah,
was.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
possible
duh.
no way, right? I
Yeah.
know that if I do this, I'm gonna get a heart infection again.
yeah.
Let me do this a little bit safer.
Yeah.
You know,
How'd
this
that work
time
out?
right back to square one.
No
Right
shit.
back to square one, over and over. And that was, and I ended up getting a heart infection twice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, heart infection
Dude,
twice.
You are on some serious borrowed time,
Yeah.
bro. You owe the universe a lot of good karma. I got some service work you can do, okay?
I'm sign up. I'll sign up. And so that's like 28 weeks of hospitalization due to you know, the endocarditis. And so I just kept going in this path of using, homelessness, walking with nowhere to go to a detox, I'll get clean for 7 days, and then this time I'll do it differently.
Yeah. Yeah,
And that's just like the
obviously.
path that I went on for like 3 years straight, constantly over
And
and
isn't
over.
it crazy because we believe.
Every time.
I believe that I'm going to do it differently, and here's how.
Yep.
The delusion and insanity in that for someone like me. And it's crazy because, you know, today you have to tread very lightly, and I can't tell you you're insane anymore. You know what I mean? Like 5 years ago, I'd be like, bro, you know, you have to let someone have their own experience today. But for myself, I literally would do the same things over and over and over. And in that moment, as I'm leaving treatment or the hospital or jail, for me, my story has a lot of incarceration. You know, here's how it's going to be different. And never actually taking a look inside and healing. I didn't even know what that meant. When I remember my probation officer, the first time she was like, yeah, we're going to be mandated to treatment. I was like fighting her on that. I was like, no.
I don't need that.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to jail
I know
where
how to
I'm
do this.
comfortable, right?
Yeah.
No, not even that. I was like, I want treatment. Send me back to jail, dude.
It's easier.
You know what I mean? The crazy
Yeah.
thinking behind that.
Oh yeah. And like I didn't have any knowledge of anything at this point. And I just remember just going through this over and over again. And the thing is, like you said, insanity is doing this thing over and over again and like expecting a different result. Like I truly believed that if I just went to this detox, got clean, like there's possibly no way that I'd literally leave those detox doors walking out before, like they'd open up and I'd be like, I got this. And the minute I took a step outside those doors, who can I call? Like I honestly believed that I'd be okay until I
like
took
5 minutes ago, dude, I would have passed a lie detector test because I
Absolutely.
wholeheartedly meant it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Isn't it crazy? It's crazy how crazy we are.
yeah, crazy. It's insane. And I just remember like going to my mom's house first. Like I got to go show my family how I look right now.
Yeah.
Like I'd plan it all into my head. I'm gonna go show my family that I'm
total
doing good.
self-seeking validation. Look at me, I'm doing
Let me
good.
go tell them how good
Yeah.
I'm doing. Let me show up and tell them the big miraculous plan that I have, that I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna get a place, you know, I'm gonna have a wife, with kids, and a white picket fence. I got this. So they can see that, and then I can go leave and do my thing. And then I'll come do the same thing again tomorrow. Like that's where my thinking was.
So what happened? How'd you get clean? 'Cause we're almost out of time.
How I got clean was I finally was just done. I was done. I was defeated. I put my hands up, and somebody was just like, all right, you need to go to treatment and like actually follow a program. And after this, like I went to so many treatments before, but I had a different feeling in me this time.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, you know, just send me wherever I need to go. And this is when I wound up at Granite Recovery Center.
Okay.
And when I was there, like I started to learn a lot about myself.
Yeah.
I started to learn like you needed to work a program. You know, you need to believe in a power greater than yourself. You need to admit that you're absolutely powerless over this disease. Like anytime that you choose to put a drug into your system, you're off the fucking rails.
And you know what's so crazy is in like 10 minutes, you just described how insane you were and how powerless you were over your own thoughts, right? So you have that life experience to know that like I'm literally crazy around my own
Yeah, at
thoughts.
this point, I believed everything.
Yeah.
All right, I'm insane. I'm crazy. I'm absolutely powerless over this. Like, all right, now what can I do?
So you went to it sounds like a good treatment center.
Yep.
It sounds like you had some healing. It sounds like they set you up with some tools for success to like work a program,
Yep.
work on spiritual principles. You still do those things today?
Today. Yep.
You do? Okay.
Every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Perfect.
And I started to work a program.
Okay.
And like I started to do some real self-inventory on myself. You know, I started to talk to other people that went through the same thing. Like whatever they had that made them, that they look good, you know, they went through the same things I went through. And I started to ask them like, how can I get help? How can I get better? What do I have to do? And I learned to believe in a power greater than myself,
Yep.
in my higher power, something else other than myself, because whenever I decide to do things my own way, it goes to shit.
Yeah.
All right, so let me take some advice from somebody else and believe in something other than me. I go to meetings. Anytime that there's a commitment where I can go share my story, I try to help other alcoholics. I sponsor other people in the program today.
That's awesome.
And walk other people through the 12 steps. And because I've just realized that you have to do this every day.
Yeah.
Because like recovery is sweet. Like I remember like after a 30-day program, I feel good again. I get a haircut, I look good again. But like life is gonna hit you.
It's also really cool because we get to do this every day.
We get to.
Yeah, it's so cool.
We get to.
I quit my fellowship a little bit ago. I was like, I'm done, dude. And after 3 weeks of being out of it, I was like, this sucks. I'm going back.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I don't even know who I am without this.
I know, you put me in normal society with normal people, and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I was like, I need my friends.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like after wandering around for so long, like just trying to fit in with different places, like I know that the fellowship is my home.
Yeah.
You know, I live in a home with other people that are in recovery.
I didn't really quit, by the way. I just was like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing this.
No, I believe.
I'm done with
I
it for a
gotcha.
minute. And then I was like, wait,
Yeah.
this sucks.
And it's a beautiful thing. But
So we have 1 minute left.
yeah.
Tell me the blessings in your life today, because you're alive, and that's a blessing in itself.
I have family that call me.
Okay.
You know, I have a daughter,
Wow.
1-year-old daughter that calls
Wow.
me daddy.
Wow.
And there's no better feeling than that.
Yeah.
I'm reliable now. I'm able to like show up early to work, because like when I was using, what was work?
Yeah.
I have friends that like I can call brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I have a beautiful girlfriend that's the mother of my child.
That's awesome.
And like biggest thing that I have today, like material things aren't nothing.
Yeah.
Like I have the ability to say like I love myself. I'm happy. Like I don't need to go seek things to make me happy. I'm just like there. I'm just there.
That's so cool. That's so cool, because you were someone from 7 years old who never felt okay.
Mm-hmm.
And now you do.
I do feel okay.
That's beautiful.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
The show's over.
Okay.
Oh my God! Why did it go by so quickly? To anyone at home that's watching, or they're like suffering, or they just don't know what to do, like, what are some words of encouragement or advice that you have for them?
That you're not alone, and like I was at that point where I felt hopeless, not wanted, and like find the help, get the help, because it's there, and I promise that life gets so much better. That's it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you watching at home, if you want to connect with Brandon, please reach out to our Facebook page, I'm a Heroin Addict. Yes, the Facebook page is I'm a Heroin Addict, and send us a message and we'll get it through to him and find a way for him to connect with you. As always, thank you for sharing your time with us.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.